Welcome back. While human trafficking takes various forms, all involve the exploitation of one person by another for some kind of benefit. And while we might be aware of what it is, we may not necessarily believe it is happening in our own communities. January is National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. And joining us today is Christian Gardner-Wood, the Senior Deputy District Attorney in Boulder County, to tell us more. Christian, I appreciate you being with us. Let's start off by asking, really, what is the state of Colorado doing to bring awareness to this crime?
Well, first off, thank you so much for having us and bringing attention to this important topic. The state of Colorado has been involved heavily in the human trafficking movement for about 15 years, but I'd say we've been at the forefront of it for the last 5 years, including the work that has been done through the Colorado Human Trafficking Council over the last 5 years, which I'm honored to be the chair of.
Why is it important to educate the public about human trafficking?
Well, I think sometimes the public has a misperception of what human trafficking is. Sometimes they get their information from the media, from TV shows, from movies, which maybe sensationalize what the facts might be of human trafficking and doesn't give a real picture of what it is. And the concern ultimately there is, if that's the case, it's easy for people not to understand the true dynamics of human trafficking, what some of the important indicators may be, and probably most importantly, to understand that it could be happening and probably is happening in their individual communities.
Explain some of the common misconceptions that people might have about human trafficking.
Well, I think sometimes it's the fact that, one, that human trafficking is simply sex trafficking. That is certainly one form of human trafficking, but it's broader than that. It could be sex trafficking of minors, of adults, and it also includes labor trafficking, which I think sometimes gets overlooked. So that's certainly one. The fact that it may only happen to women or girls is another misconception, which we know is not true, and it happens to boys, young men, and adult men as well. And I think a misconception around the idea that when we're talking about victims or survivors of human trafficking, that they can just leave. What that misunderstands is the dynamics of human trafficking and the fact that it's about preying on somebody's vulnerability and their inability to just get up and leave because of that vulnerability. And also sometimes that they just, the survivor or victim of human trafficking may not really know what their current situation is. They're so dependent on their trafficker and so stuck in that situation, they may not even identify it themselves as human trafficking without some assistance.
Talk about this campaign a little bit. Why is it different?
It's different because it targets the average citizen. It's different because it was informed by survivors. It was researched extensively over the last couple of years to figure out how do we appropriately target individuals so that the general public could get this information and upon getting that information is better informed to be able to make a difference within their community, recognize the signs of human trafficking, and be able to assist a survivor if they happen to come across a survivor, and can report to law enforcement if they come across these situations that need to be reported or that there's some concern about.
I agree. I think a lot of people don't realize this might be right in front of them. So what can our viewers do to help?
So one thing I would suggest is certainly, they're likely going to see over the next year or two some of the work that's being done through the Human Trafficking Awareness Campaign. So certainly paying attention to some of that. I would also say that I'd encourage viewers to go to our website for the public awareness campaign, which is thisishumantrafficking.com. That will give them more information about the campaign, about what human trafficking is, things to look for, some of the indicators of human trafficking, and some representative samples of really what we see in Colorado as it relates to human trafficking, which again is different from that, maybe some of those misperceptions that are out there and those representations that they may have seen in TV or movies. And I would also say that they can either report human trafficking by calling local law enforcement or by contacting the Colorado human trafficking hotline, which can be done to either report concerning situations or can be given to survivors to get help, receive services, etc. It's a 24/7 number. It's 1-866-455-5075.
Christian, this is amazing information, and we do appreciate you being with us to help us learn a little bit more about what this is. Thank you. Learn what to look for on their website. This is humantrafficking.com. If you suspect it's happening to you or someone you know or have seen, get help anonymously 24 hours a day by calling 866-455-5075 or send a text to 720-999-9724.